guys, so we are going to take a look at something that we call point slope form of a line. And we've been working with slope a lot lately, and so we're going to actually use the slope to help us figure out this form of a line. And how we do that is you need two things in order to create a line, and those two things are a starting point and literally a rise over run. So for instance, a slope. So for example, down here on the graph, I'm going to use a starting point of, let's say, -7 up 8. This is my starting location, left 7 and up 8. And let's say my slope that I had is down 2 and running 3, which means that our second point that I would be located is -4 up 6. I could also rerun that slope of down 2, running 3 to get a second point here on our line of -1, 4. And I can continue this trend. And why we can is because, remember, a line has a constant slope. So as we continue, our straight line would be created by continuing this pattern, this rising over running, by going down 2 and running 3. Now that last one I can't really finish. So we can actually draw this line that we've created. So it looks like this. So remember, to draw a line, you must have a constant rate of change, so a constant slope, a rise over run, but you also need a starting point to begin that slope from. All right, so let's take a look at how we're going to use this and what the point slope form actually looks like. So as an equation, the point slope form, number one, has a point, an x coordinate, and a y coordinate. So we're going to call that x1 and y1 here. So you'll have y minus y1, our y coordinate of the point, and our x minus x1 inside the parentheses. Now, you also need to have a slope, and your slope is named by little m. So the slope is little m. So let's say in number 5, I'm giving you the slope is 5. So it goes right here before the parenthesis. And we're also given the point with an x coordinate of 3. That's our x1. And our y1 would be the y coordinate of 2. So literally in place of x1, we literally are putting +3. So x minus 3. And for y, y1, we are inserting the 2. So let's try number 6 and see how this goes the same way. So our slope is 1/2. So that goes before my parenthesis. And now let's work with the point. So the point has an x coordinate, x1 coordinate of -7, which means -7 goes here. And here's the key, guys. A subtraction of a negative now makes that overall positive. So we'll write that as x plus 7. And if my y1 is a +3, then this would be a y minus 3. So just be careful on the negatives, guys. When you put that into the point slope form, it now becomes a positive or the opposite. All right, so what if I give you a graph, and how does that work? Well, when you first start graphing these and you want to write me the equation in point slope form, you first must find me the slope. So how much did we rise and how much did we run? So we rose 3 and ran 6. So our slope is rise 3 divide by running 6. Now we can simplify that because 3 goes into both 3 and 6. And so our simplified slope would be 1/2, or 1/2 as a slope of this line. And so now we can choose our point to start with. Now here's the kicker though. I see 2 points on my line. So it doesn't matter which one you begin with. You just have to choose. So let's say we chose this bottom left-hand point, which is over 2 to the left of 0, so -2. and we went up 2 to get to that point. So that means in our point slope form, we'd have -2. Subtracting a negative now becomes a positive. And our y coordinate is y minus a positive 2. Now, if we chose the second location or our second point, we went over 1, 2, 3, 4, and we went up 5. So we'd have x minus 4 and y minus 5 since they were both positive. Now, either one of those equations is equivalent, which means that either one would work when you were giving me an answer. I do not mind which one, guys. You do not have to give me 2. Just give me 1, okay? So you can choose either one of those to give me as a final answer. All right, now let's try out number 8. Remember to give me that slope, the rise over run first. So we went down 6 and we ran right 2. So our slope is -6 over 2. And if I divide -6 in half or divide those, we get -3 as our slope. Now let's choose who wants to be our point and let's write our equation. If I chose the top point, which is over to the left 1 and up 1 from 0, we would have x minus the -1, which ends up giving us a positive 1, x plus 1, inside the parenthesis, and y minus 1. If we chose the second coordinate, we went over to the right 1 from 0, and we went down 5. So 1 comma -5 is its location. And so we'll use x minus 1, positive 1, and then we'll use y minus -5, which ends up giving us a y plus 5 in our equation of the line. All right, now what if we wanted to graph these? Well, the first 2 things you need is to figure out where is my starting point and where is my slope. So our starting point comes from inside the parenthesis with y and x. So if I see a minus sign, that means that I am +3 and up 2. So I go over 3, up 2, that's my starting point, and then I'm going to use the slope that I'm given. And our rise over our run is up 2, run 3. So up 2, run 3, and we can plot our point. Now, if we wanted to, we can reverse that to get more points on the graph. So we could go down 2 and to the left 3 to continue this trend, and we can get a more accurate drawing of what our line looks like. So at least 3 to 4 points would be good, guys, to graph for me. All right, so let's try number 2. So according to our equation, we have +2 inside with my x, which means that that 2 is going negative. And the y coordinate is also negative since it became a positive. So -2, -5 is our starting point. We plot it, and then we use our slope of 4. Now that means go up 4 and run 1. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And if you wanted to continue that slope, and we end up with a nice steep slope line. All right, now let's try number 3 and number 4. So it looks like our point that we start with is +3 and -4, or the opposite signs, guys. And then our slope is down 2 over 1. So go to 3, -4 is our starting location, and we go down 2 over 1. Now we can repeat that slope, but reverse it. So go up 2 and go, and our line should look something like this. Let's try number 4. So according to our form, we have a +6, which means that that had to be a subtraction of a -6. So -6 and then our +1 in our formula. So we go over -6 from 0 and up 1, plot our starting point, and now we're going to use our slope. Rise 1, run 2, and mark your next point. We can use that slope a couple more times, and we get our beautiful line. All right, now our last part is talking about what if I don't give you a graph, but I give you 2 points to find me the point slope form for. So before you guys can even start, you first need to find me what is the slope between those 2 points. Now remember, our last section from last week, you can do that 2 different ways. You can count it, or you can use the slope formula. Sorry. All right, so here we go. So if you counted to go from 4 to 10, you went up 6. And to go from -1 to +2, you counted up 3. So 6 over 3 is our slope. If you ran the formula, you did 10 minus 4 and over 2 minus -1, and you'll end up getting the same slope here, guys. Now, what is 6 divided by 3? That literally gives us a slope of 2. So our slope is 2 inside our formula, which goes in front of the parentheses with x. And now you get to choose which point you would like to use as your starting point. So we could use the first point, if you'd like, of -1 comma 4. And it would go in the formula as where I subtract a -1, becoming a +1 in with my x, and +4 stays as y minus 4. If I chose the second coordinate of 2 comma 10, our 10 would go in place of y, and then our 2 would go in place for our x. So since they're both positive, they now become a minus in the formula. And remember, guys, only one of those is necessary. Please don't give me double the trouble. I only want one of those two written as your final answer. So you pick which point you would like to use. That's kind of nice. All right, now let's try number 10. Again, in order for us to write this point slope form, I already have 2 points. I need to find the slope. So if you're a counter, we went from 1 to 3, which is up 2. And to go from 2 to -4, we went down 6. If you're a formula user, you also get 3 minus 1, which is 2. And -4 minus 2 gives us a -6. Now, guys, let's simplify that slope. They're both even, so I can cut them both in halvesies. No matter if you use your formula or if you do your counting method. So literally our slope is going to be 2 divided by 2 is a 1 on top for both slopes. And -6 cut in half gives us a -3 on our run. So -1 over 3 is our slope. Now you get to pick which point you want to use. If we use the first point, 2 comma 1, our 2 goes in with x minus 2, and our 1 goes as y minus 1. If I use -4, 3 as our point, second point, then we'll have x minus a -4, which becomes a +4 in the formula, and we'll have y minus 3 on the outside. Please remember, guys, that either one of those is acceptable. Don't give me both, just one would be great. Now let's practice using a quiz is.